How are you, Mr. Paul?
Good. Thank you so much.
That is fantastic. Congratulations on the film.
Thank you so much.
I absolutely love it.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So it's 7 years in the making. It's a long time.
I thought I'd never get to make it, but they called my bluff. Yeah, it started out at a mainstream studio with a much bigger budget, and luckily De Niro was excited by the role, and he stuck with it through the 7 years of me writing drafts and the budget getting cut. Which actually was a great thing, because the version that ended up getting made is as close to what I would have hoped for it to be as possible.
You wrote 30 scripts.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and then is the final draft pretty much similar to almost the first draft?
It really is. The first one was a lot longer because I didn't have much money, didn't have much time to shoot it, so I couldn't shoot a lot of stuff that I thought, maybe that'd be important. It really had to be what I felt most important, and I learned that during the course of it, because a lot of those 30 drafts were kind of sellouts, basically. And it's a story with a weird sort of dark humor to it. So yeah, the last draft was pretty much like the first one.
Wow, what is your initial attraction to the film? I mean,
yeah.
Amidst all those 30 scripts, what's left has always been your passion.
Yeah, it's the central question of, I think everybody wonders, how much am I my parent? Am I able to create myself and become my own person? Can I reject my parent if they're really troubled people, as Bob's character is in this movie? Or do I need to own some part of that? As a central question, that kept me going through all those drafts.
It is interesting that most of your films are always like father and son.
Yeah.
About a boy in good company and
yeah.
now being Flynn.
Yeah.
Why is that, Mr. Paul?
I think because my dad, while he was a fantastic dad, was pretty crazy for excellent reasons. He always dreamed of, he was a successful fashion designer, but he thought that was a silly way to make a living. And he always dreamed of being a writer, and he'd write until late at night. And also, he was of a generation that drank a lot of scotch and was very articulate. And he really shared some demons with De Niro's character in this movie. I always wonder how you get things from flawed people, or as a flawed person myself, how I conduct myself with my own kids. That's, I think, is what keeps drawing me to that central story.
And you also touched upon a lot of demons in this film. Alcoholism,
sure. Yep.
You know, drug abuse.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, there's situations that I've been around, either through growing up or now through doing research for this film. It's always individual people who are going through them. I think everybody has their own thing that they're wrestling with. And I don't feel particularly capable of talking about things on a societal level, but I do feel capable of talking about like a particular story and somebody who goes through something like alcoholism or homelessness in this case.
How is it meeting the real Jonathan Flynn?
It's a hoot. I mean, he's completely egotistical. The first time I met him, Nick took me up to meet him, and in the movie, Bob has driving a cab for a living, and he has this club with nails driven into it that he brandishes and threatens people with. At this point in his life, Jonathan no longer had that club, but when I first met him, I was sitting with him on the bed, on his bed in his small apartment, chatting with him, and he said, "Nobody will mess with me," and he reached under the bed and pulled out a big, like a machete, and then kind of held it up to my face, wondering what I was going to do. And Nick was Nick was sitting across the room kind of chuckling, and I said, "Well, I'm not going to make any sudden moves," and I just said, "Absolutely nobody would mess with you." He is a completely extreme character, a combination of being really smart and funny and being really awful.
And that's the magic about Robert De Niro's performance, I think. It is a combination of all of that.
Yeah, because he's a terrible person. Right. But he's a survivor.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, with a lesser actor, it could have. It's a hard character to play.
For sure. Yeah, and that must have been what kept him stuck to it over the years.
Right.
And he worked so hard on it. I would hear from his costumer or even his trainer, who worked with him for 20 years, how he'd be up in the morning at 5 a.m. on the exercise bike running lines before coming into the set at 7. So
it's nice to see him in top form.
Good.
I love it.
Good.
Well, thank you again
so much. I really appreciate
much.
it.
It's a fantastic film.
Thank you.